Your leads for your coaching business suck. And that's not by accident. There are 5 steps that every single lead generation campaign needs in order for it to be successful. And I can guarantee you that if you're here watching this video, you're missing one of those steps, and that is why all the leads that you are getting are rubbish. So today I'm going to break down for you exactly why your lead's stuck and exactly what to do to fix it using the 5 key levers of a successful lead generation campaign. So the first lever you need to pull for a successful lead generation campaign, and the first reason why your lead generation is probably failing, is because, very simply, you are using a funnel. So obviously when you generate leads and when you run online campaigns to generate business, most people tell you to use a sales or marketing funnel where you pour leads down your funnel in order or for the intention to capture them. Now, what's really important to understand about a funnel is a concept and an idea towards lead generation. However, a funnel is flawed, especially if you're a coach trying to get coaching clients online. Now, let me explain why. First of all, if you've ever used a funnel, you know they're complex. They're difficult to set up, they require a lot of complex tech, and they require a big skill set. Now, the coaching business model is simple, and coaches aren't salesmen or marketers. Now, the thing is with the funnel is it isn't simple. It requires you to be a salesman to make it to work, and it requires you to have an extremely high marketing skill set, again, to make the leads that you generate convert. Now, not only that, funnels, just by the simple design of them, physically have a hole in the bottom. So what that means is a portion of the leads that you are generating is very simply slipping out the bottom of your funnel. So what that means for you is that if you are generating good leads, or if there are some good leads in the campaigns that you're running, majority of them are slipping out the bottom and you're not capturing all of them. And if you've ever run a proper lead generation campaign with a funnel, so for example, if you run an advert to send people to download a PDF, which is a free resource, and you collect their emails, you will know that half the people that download the PDF don't read it. The other half you never hear back from. The other half, the rest of them unsubscribe from the emails, and you might get the odd person that sends you an email back, but it's very rare that that then converts into a sale or into a customer. Now, the issue with the funnels is it doesn't take into account that 90% of the market isn't ready to buy here and now. So what's happening is by the fact of having a funnel, you are not capturing or nurturing or keeping these leads in an ecosystem or an environment where you can really deal with them and nurture them. And so what tends to happen with a lot of coaches is they'll lose a funnel, they'll lose 90% of the leads that they generate, and the leads that stay in here, unsubscribe from their email campaigns or however they're doing it, aren't being properly nurtured and aren't being properly warmed up. So when they go to have conversations with the people that are left, they're always rubbish quality. So the way to switch this, and the first step into generating good quality leads, is to stop using funnels and to start using a beaker. Now again, a beaker is simply a concept towards lead generation, the same way a funnel is. And the concept that we're running here with a beaker approach is we're essentially saying, right, instead of generating leads with the understanding that we're going to lose most of them, instead of generating leads understanding that 90% of the market isn't ready to buy here and now, but yet we're not retaining that 90%, let's generate leads with the intention of keeping them in our world, in our ecosystem, and keeping them in touch with us in a way where we can properly nurture them for now and for the long term. And so with a beaker, when you send leads into your beaker, so to speak, they're in this pool here and they never disappear. And so because they're here, always there for you to capitalize on, you can capture them, you can nurture them, you can very simply talk to the quality leads whenever you want. And the ones who aren't the best quality, you can nurture them in a way so that when you do need to speak to someone, when you are ready to speak to them, or when they're ready to speak to you, they are quality as well. Now, you're probably thinking, how the hell does this work in real terms? Let me explain. It's very, very simple. So a funnel, you have an ad. It typically goes to like an opt-in slash landing page, right? And then once you've gone to the landing page, you get something for free in exchange for an email, right? And then what happens is you send them emails, you send them lead magnets, you send them things to try and get them on a call, but they unsubscribe and they disappear and it all goes wrong. So what we're doing with the beaker approach, and this is everything I do with my clients that I'm working with, and I've generated them over £723,000 in revenue from doing this, is we run an ad that instead of getting people to opt in, gets people to follow us on social media, and our social media acts as our beaker and our storage container. So every new follower that you get becomes a lead, somebody that you can nurture and hold on to. And so by doing that, there's low friction, there's low reason for them to leave. And also to top that as well, the leads that you're generating can constantly watch and indulge in your content, which positions you as an expert. And this is going to be the last point that I talk about today, is how to actually position yourself as an expert using this beaker approach so that all the leads you generate stay, you nurture them, you pull out the high quality ones, and you actually get good leads. Now, if you're a coach looking to generate leads for your coaching business and you're pretty much fed up of trying to figure this all out on your own, I'm going to leave a link below. Feel free to book in a chat with me and I can show you the Beaker approach, how it works for me and for the other coaches I work with, and how you can essentially stop having to thinking about lead generation and just focus on coaching. And so that is step one of how to actually attract good quality leads that don't suck, is you stop using a funnel and you switch to the Beaker model of attracting, generating and nurturing those leads. Right, so now let's look at step two in terms of what to do to attract these high quality leads that you want. Now, very simply, step two is to do with customer awareness. Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of coaches making. You have to make sure you are speaking towards a portion of the market that understands they have a problem and understands there are solutions to their problem. So take a look at this. There are levels of customer awareness. So they are unaware, customers that are unaware. You've got customers that are problem aware. You've then got customers who are solution aware. You've then got customers who are product aware. And then you've got customers who are most aware, who have all the context on everything. So let me break these down. And the higher down the awareness scale you go, the better the quality of lead you will attract. Unaware, they don't know they have a problem. They don't know there's a solution to their problem. They don't really consciously even consider that this is a thing for them. Problem aware, they know they have a problem. Solution aware, they know they have a problem and they are aware that there are solutions to those problems. Product aware is they are aware of your product and your solution. Most aware is they have got a full market understanding. They know the problem, they know there's solutions out there, they know your solution and your product, and they know other products out there. So they're the most aware customers. Now, when you're advertising and trying to do lead gen, you want to speak to problem aware and solution aware customers, because if your messaging isn't speaking to these people, very simply, you're not going to be able to attract people who are going to buy it or who are ready to work with you. Because if somebody isn't aware of their situation, you have to do a lot of work to try and get them to consciously understand that they have a problem. Now, on a big scale, when you're a very, very high level coach and you're making 6+ figures a month, you will start to see these types of coaches maybe go for more unaware leads because they have reached such a big pool and such a big audience, they need to spread that reach as far as they can. Now, to make an unaware lead a good lead, it requires a lot of investment into your marketing. And to begin with, if you're a coach and you're making less than 6 figures a month, you don't need to be doing anything like that at all. So what I do with all the coaches that I work with is we mainly focus on customers that are problem aware and solution aware. So that's very simple. What that means, problems, they know they have a problem. Solution aware, they know they have a solution. Now, if you do this in your marketing, and you do this in your advertising, or you do this in your lead generation, however you're doing it, and you tailor your messaging to these types of people, you are very simply going to have successful campaigns and generate good quality leads instead of people who don't know who you are. Now, to give you a good example of this, I actually worked with a parenting coach, still working with her, been working with her for 14 months now. And initially when we started our campaigns, she was telling me that her leads that she typically got weren't the best. And what we started to realize is she was helping parents with their children, but the way she was positioning it and the way she was talking to it, she was talking to the parents who didn't know that they were actually the issue in the problem and didn't know that they were the ones that needed help. So she was generating tons of leads, getting lots of calls, but what was happening was nobody was buying. And what essentially was happening was she was speaking to the parent who thought the child was the problem and didn't realize that they were the problem. So the parent was problem unaware. And so that meant that it was extremely hard for her to convert. So the one shift that we made is in our advertising, in our marketing, in all of our messaging, we spoke to the parent who understood that they were the issue. So the biggest lesson you need to take from this is make sure when you're speaking in your messaging, you are speaking to people who understand that they have a problem or that there are solutions to their problems. Those are always the best quality leads and people that are ready to buy. And that is step 2 complete of how to generate good quality leads. Now, the next step is very simply step 3 of how to generate good quality leads is looking at your traffic source. Now, when you're generating leads, you are obviously marketing or running campaigns to a specific audience. Now, those people and those leads that you're trying to generate could be from advertisements, could be from organic content, it could be from cold outreach, that could be emails, that could be text messages, that could be phone calls. So your traffic source is essentially who are the people you're looking for and how are you finding them, okay? Now, the main mistake that I see with coaches when they're trying to generate leads is they rely on organic content or cold outreach. And these are big no-nos when you're trying to grow your coaching business. The problem with organic content when you're trying to lead generate is organic content is extremely, extremely difficult to get up and running and to optimize it. And obviously coaches are coaches. You're not salesmen, you're not marketers, like I said earlier. So for you to get a really great organic content system up and running, it's so, so difficult. And even if you can get an organic content system up and running and you're getting views, you never know if those views are people that are actually quality customers. Same with cold outreach, right? Cold outreach, you have to go through so much volume of crap leads, because I started my business from solely cold outreach, so I know this. You go through so much volume of cold leads, right? So much volume of people who don't know you, that it's so hard just to find one good person that's your lead in there. So you will go through so much hustle to go through it. And you don't need to hustle like this, and you don't need to spend hours creating content hoping that somebody good turns up. So the way that you should actually be finding traffic is very simply through adverts. Now look, Facebook, Instagram, these platforms are so big and so successful because they are so good at advertising. That is where all of their revenue comes from. And they are so good at pinpointing your ad to the person that you want it to go to, that is why they're still around. That is why they are the top in the game. So the main shift that I'd recommend that you change and take when you're trying to generate good quality leads is make sure that you are running ads. Okay. Now again, use the beaker style of ads rather than the funnel style of ads. So instead of sending people to an opt-in, right, for an email address, right, and then losing them, send people to follow you on Instagram, and everyone that follows you becomes a lead. So the sequence becomes really simple. You run an ad that calls out your client avatar. They follow you on Instagram, they become a lead. Once they followed you, you can then message them. Once you message them, you can then nurture them and book them in for a call. If they don't book in for a call straight away, because you've got their follow, you can now post content which nurtures them, removes objections, and builds up trust. And again, I'm going to show you how to do this in the last point. But there's the next point. Make sure you have the right traffic source. Okay. Now, the fourth point is also really, really important and also massively overlooked by most coaches, is very simply, you've probably heard it before, your offer. Okay. Now, the thing is, some of you may be going, well, I'm running ads at the moment, I'm getting crap quality leads. First thing is, you're probably using funnels. And if you're using a funnel, not only is the funnel the problem, but your offer to the market probably is as well. So if you're not positioning yourself in the right way, or making a claim or promise, or solving a problem which is big enough for people to click on your ad and actually want to solve, you're going to attract crap quality leads. So let me give you a prime example of this. I was recently working with a career coach, and we ran an ad, and she was getting tons of calls. I think in 1 month she got 30 calls from this advert that we were running. And essentially what was happening was she was really struggling to convert a lot of these calls. Now, yes, that part of that was her sales ability, but what we were finding is there wasn't a dire pain and a dire need in terms of the people jumping on the calls. They wanted help, but it wasn't like a pressive problem where they were like desperate to open their wallets to get it solved. And so what we realized is that in her messaging, she wasn't being emotional enough and speaking emotionally enough to the client avatar. And so very simply, what we did is we switched the ad, we made it more emotional, and very simply, that ad now has been up a couple of weeks, and she's already signed 2.5K worth of business, and she's got another 4K worth of business waiting to be closed out as we speak. And the difference was the emotion. Now remember, people buy on emotion and they justify with logic. So if your outcome isn't clear, right, that you're helping with, if your outcome isn't big enough, and if it isn't emotional, people won't be good leads. You will get leads, but the leads that you get won't be quality, and you'll be wondering what's going on. And it goes the same so this is for your outcome and the pain points that you're promising that you're solving. They have to be big, they have to be emotional. So some emotional language that we use for this particular career coach is we said things like time was slipping away. We said things like you've been stuck for years. We made a stronger outcome promise, such as getting into a senior leadership role. So all of these things combined actually meant that the type of lead that was resonating with that had a higher pain, they had a stronger desire for a clearer outcome, and that meant they were better quality. So now the leads she's probably getting the same amount of volume of calls as before. She's getting about a call a day essentially. But what it also means is that the leads that she's getting in here have more emotion, have more pain, and have more desire to change, and that's why they're better quality. So that is the fourth step as what you need to really look at to improve your lead quality. Is what you're talking on emotional enough? Is it a big enough pain point where you're going to get people coming through that are in need of dire help? And is the outcome that you're helping them to get to, is that also a solution that they're desperate to achieve? So that is the fourth point. Now, the fifth and final point is, like I mentioned earlier, is talking about looking and being like, positioning yourself like an expert. So obviously there is a lot of noise online, right? And if you are very simply not positioning yourself in the right way or being seen as an expert, you are going to get lost in the noise. The coaching industry has grown over £1 billion in size year on year. That only accounts for accredited coaches. And although that means, yes, there's a lot of people looking for coaching, there's also a lot of coaches trying to fulfill that demand. So if you don't look like a one-of-one expert in your marketing, you are simply going to get drowned out and be lost. Now, the way that you do this is through your social media and Instagram page. So like I said, instead of using a funnel, like we said before, instead of using that, we're going to now use a beaker to generate leads. And instead of asking for emails, we're asking for follows, okay? And essentially what that means is you drive people to your Instagram page. So your Instagram page needs to position you as the go-to expert. And the way that you do that is very simple. I'm going to show you how. Your bio of your Instagram page needs to have 3 lines. One line showing who you help. So the formula is, I help X person overcome Y problem and achieve Z transformation. And remember, this needs to be a strong pain and strong emotional outcome to make them to attract the right person. The second line, you need to show some social proof. So what experience have you got of doing that? How many years have you been doing it? How many clients have you helped? And the last one needs a call to action. Okay. And by doing that, that means you are going to capture the right people and attract the right people to, once they click on your ad, which opts for them to follow, to look at your bio. Your content is very simple. So your content, you want 3 pin posts, okay? One of them, you want your story and link that to the client avatar. So show where you were before, link that to the current client's pain points, show what your transformation was, link that to your process and show where you are after. Then you want client success stories. So show people that you have achieved what they want with somebody else. And lastly, show your unique mechanism. Why are you different? Okay, what is different about you and what is different about what they've tried before? Because remember, if you're attracting problem-aware and solution-aware clients, they are going to have seen solutions and ideas and principles before in terms of how to get the results. You need to be positioned differently, right? So that's your pin content. Now, the rest of your content is very simple. You use the problems, micro problems formula. So let me explain what this means. Your client has a big overarching problem. And what makes up that problem are loads of little micro problems. So for example, the big overarching problem I help coaches with is getting clients. What makes that up is they don't know how to define a niche, they don't know how to run ads, they don't know how to generate quality leads, they don't know how to book calls, they don't know how to create content, etc., etc., etc. So all of these become my content topics, exactly like this topic here, right? One of my micro problems is leads, and that is why I'm creating this piece of content. So what you do is you create content on these topics, giving value on the topics very simply. And by doing that, what then happens is that when people come into your beaker, which essentially means they come onto your Instagram page and they follow you, so they're trapped inside, you are positioned as the expert to go to, and it makes it for them a no-brainer that they want to look at your page, indulge in your content, and actually eventually work with you. And if you combine all those pieces together, you are only going to attract quality leads. And you need to see your social media in this instance as your shop front. So if you think of it, an in-person brick and mortar business has a sign and it has a display window with products in. And that shows customers who are walking by who they're for, what they sell, and makes people intrigued to come in. Our Instagram is the exact same. Our bio is our sign, right? Enticing people and showing people exactly who we're for. And our content are the products in the window. And those products in our shop window entice people and show people what we're about, our expertise, our knowledge, and that what we have to offer can help them. And by doing that, all of those pieces of the puzzle combined, you are only going to attract high quality leads. And the reason for that is very simple, right? You've moved from a funnel to a beaker. So what that means is you retain and you capture all of the leads that you generate so that 90% of the market that isn't ready to buy is nurtured, and the 10% that are ready to buy you can easily capitalize on. You are only speaking to leads who are problem and solution aware. So these leads know that they have an issue and they know that there are solutions to their problem. So they're actively buyers, they're actively looking for help, and it's enough pain for them that they're consciously aware of it. Then you are generating the right type of traffic. So instead of relying on organic content or instead of relying on cold outreach, you are running adverts which drive people into your beaker, which you know are going to exactly the right person that you want to. Then your offer is big enough, emotional enough, and painful enough that the people that resonate with it are people who are looking for change and ready to take action. And then lastly, to combine that all together, once you are driving the right traffic, into your beaker, which is your Instagram page, with people who are aware of their problems and it's a problem that's big enough for them to take action, they are now coming onto your page where they see you as the go-to expert, the specialist on solving their specific issue. So when they land on your page, it's simply a no-brainer for them to want to work with you and to want to progress forward and explore how you can help them. And that is exactly how you generate high quality leads. And that is the exact process that I've used for the coaches that I work with to generate them over £723,000 in revenue. So I hope you found that useful. If you want any help with lead generation, there's going to be a link below where you can book a chat. And if not, my Instagram is also below. So feel free to ask me any questions.